Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we finished up Resurrection A9 for now, and did a few more entries on here, one of which ended up attributing itself to Resurrection A9. So we read the Child of Man, the Grow Your Own Castle kit, and the Wendigo Skull, which was really weird. So this episode, we're going to start with the Eulogy Shrub, and just see where we end up. I'm going to be aiming for SCP-330, so I can get back on track of, like, going by fives or whatever. So let's check out that Eulogy Shrub, and I want to say it's either safe or Euclid, because shrubs are generally bushes, and I can't see a bush that does eulogies being Keter. Yeah, there we go. While SCP-324 does not require efforts beyond basic botanical maintenance to thrive, access to its products are to be strictly controlled to prevent theft and possible uncontrolled cultivation. 324 is to be contained within a secure solarium or equivalent agricultural facility and a minimum of 5 cubic meters of soil. Soil should be maintained at a constant pH of between 4 to 4.5 with a minimum 12% humus or similar organic compound component to topsoil. A misting system or other remote means of watering should be implemented to minimize the number of staff with access to 324. 324 is currently held at Site 23, Solarium 16, Bay 194 under these conditions. As on-site research staff already has access to specialized botanical testing equipment and methodologies via the containment of 38, transfer of 324 to another facility is subject to Level 4 approval. Products of 324, designated 324-1, may be transferred between research staff as necessary with Level 3 approval. To maintain 324 as the only mature specimen during initial research, attempts to cultivate further specimens of one off-site are currently suspended. So, 324 is a small evergreen shrub, currently 1.4 meters in height and possessing a complex root system that extends approximately 2.5 meters below the soil. Leaves are lanceolate, ranging between 4 to 6 centimeters in width. During the flowering phase, 324 produces small 12 to 22 millimeter white flowers with 9 petals. Berries produced by 324 are designated 1 and appear pinkish white in color with diameters between 9 to 14 millimeters. The berries are edible with flavor reported as tart and mildly sweet. So these things. I wonder if they taste like sweet tarts or if it's just tart and mildly sweet. 324's flowering and berry-producing phase are apparently only initiated by the introduction of a deceased mammal of at least 25 kilograms into the soil. The mammal must be within range of 324's root system and been deceased no longer than 3 days at the time of its first contact with 324. If these conditions are met, the flowering phase will begin within 16 hours of introduction, with mature flowers and 324-1 appearing within 75 hours. When eaten, each individual sample of one will produce a vivid sensory experience reenacting a seemingly random memory of the deceased mammal's life and the consumer of one. In tests with human cadavers buried in 324 soil, consumers of one report clear oral and visual impressions, including specific locations, conversations, and individuals. The consumer of one appears to experience the deceased memory as if it were one of their own, but recognize it as a product of another mind. In tests featuring animal cadavers, consumers of one report an overwhelming jumble of sensory input devoid of the usual narrative context produced by human thought. Each experience lasts between 2 to 4 minutes before it subsides. If multiple samples of one are ingested at one time, memories experienced proceed one at a time, each within the same 2 to 4 minute window. 324 produces one for approximately 1 week regardless of the type or mass of the deceased mammal introduced into its soil. After this period has elapsed, all samples of one wither and become inert until another deceased mammal is accessed by the root system. Animals incapable of creating memories or lacking memories of their own, such as subjects of SCP-909, likewise produce inert samples of one. 324 was discovered in a small cemetery specializing in natural, coffinless, non-preservational burial in rural Blank County, New Hampshire. The groundskeeper, Mr. Declan Blank, would regularly transplant 324 to the graves of the newly deceased and invite surviving family members to partake of one for a substantial fee. The scheme was discovered inadvertently when Agent Blank attended the services at the cemetery for his deceased Blank. Upon a demonstration of one's effects, Agent Blank immediately took both Mr. Blank debriefed and assigned D-Class, and 324 into Foundation custody. Mr. Blank claimed the shrub had been on the grounds when they were purchased in 19 Blank and knew nothing further of its origins. And here's some experiments. Disposable dude, age 56. Human female, 34 at time of death, deceased 2 days. Placid for duration of experience. Recounts an afternoon picnic from the perspective of a small female child, including impressions of flying a kite and eating a celery stalk with peanut butter and raisins. Disposable dudette, age 34. Chimpanzee, age 44 at time of death, 3 days. Thrashes wildly for the duration of the experience, making gestures as if to ward off an attacker. Recounts impression of being assaulted by multiple individuals uttering high-pitched squeals. Disposable dude, age 22. Female, 99, deceased 2 days. Uncooperative, restraints employed. Force-fed 1. Continues thrashing for 43 seconds before abruptly relaxing. Eyes glazed for duration of experience. Drools slightly. Recounts staring out a window from a wheelchair to busy urban street, sprinklers occasionally splashing the window. Disposable dudette, age 42. Male dolphin, age 19, deceased 1 day. Holds breath for duration of experience, is passed out at 97 seconds. Revived, recounts impressions of swimming, darkness, pressure. Claims to distinctly recall speaking to another individual but cannot remember content of conversation. Huh. Okay, so a 19-year-old male dolphin was speaking to someone. Interesting. Next up is the Detergent. Oh yeah, maybe it's going to do the thing again where everything that starts with the is absolutely terrible, because that was a thing that was happening, and there haven't been very many thes since that happened. So this is, if you don't count the recorded man, who was okay, this is the first the, followed by the Mermaid. So let's check it out. It's safe! And I kind of recognize that brand. SCP-325 is to be held in a standard 30 cm by 10 by 10 cm steel box. Okay, so this is probably one of those things where it's safe because of what it is and not safe because of what it does. Okay, this box should be waterproofed and lined with hydrophobic rubber and stored away from any washing facilities. If it breaches containment, standard Foundation issue NBC protection suits are to be used to spread desiccant on the affected area. All used desiccant should be incinerated according to the standard incineration procedure. 325 can be safely stored at any site and with any SCP. Any person... I mean, there's an SCP that's literally closed, so maybe don't do that. Any personnel showing a greatly increased adherence to cleaning and hygiene than required are to be detained and given new Foundation issue overalls to be worn for the next 24 hours. After this, suspected personnel are to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. Okay then. 325 is a small bottle of blank brand washing detergent, a product commonly sold to the United Kingdom. However, the blank 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 name present on the label does not match any of the blank company's current products. 325 contains a semi-viscous green liquid identical in chemical composition to the Naturals range of washing detergent sold by blank. 325 is a value pack container of concentrated detergent and currently contains 1,775 milliliters of fluid. One wash of 325 requires 25 milliliters of fluid, as indicated on the instructions located on the rear of the bottle. This information also contains a warning detailing redacted. Okay. 325 functions in an identical way to normal detergent, and when used will produce excellent results. Tests with disposable dudes have indicated that victims will find the quality of the wash much higher than usual, therefore preferring to wear a garment washed in 325 over other articles of clothing washed in normal detergent. However, lab tests have shown that there to be no physical or chemical difference between garments washed in 325 or other brands. Further research into low-level mimetic threats are ongoing, but as the effects of 325 are contained by non-use, 325 is currently classified as safe. When a garment washed into 325 is worn, the subject wearing it will eventually succumb to extreme pervasive paranoid delusions related to mesophobia and cleanliness. Is this fear of dirt? Okay, yeah, germophobia. And cleanliness. This will often induce ritualistic behaviors in the subject and has led to subjects harming themselves through excessive cleaning methods such as placing their hands in boiling water or ingesting bleach. Oh. There are currently 5 levels of behavior caused by 325 exposure documented, with all tests past 480 total hours of exposure resulting in the data expunged indicated on the label, unless subject expires at level 4 as indicated below. I'd like to know what was expunged because it sounds like it might be, like, darkly hilarious. Anyway, all time measurements indicated in the following descriptions of behavior after exposure are indicated as the average number of hours exposed, rounded up at an approximately 10%. Exposure refers to the time spent physically wearing garments cleaned in 325. Level 1 behavior. Exposed people for between 1 to 24 hours will exhibit majorly increased awareness of hygiene and cleanliness. This is usually characterized by excessive hand washing and ordering others to be more clean themselves. This stage will usually pass without comment, however, any staff noticing increased awareness of cleanliness around the storage area of 325 should inform Level 4 clearance personnel immediately. Level 2 behavior. Between 24 and 96 hours, they will begin displaying extreme germophobia and manic washing regimens. Exposed subjects will also shun others, only exiting their domicile to stockpile supplies of tinned food and cleaning agents such as bleach. Interviews have shown that subjects that view the outside world to be unclean. Exposed for 96 to 240 hours exhibit complete disregard for anything that is considered by them to be unclean, including the outside world. If an object inside their abode can be cleaned by the subject, they will clean it until deemed suitably uncontaminated. All clothing that has not been washed by 325 will also be rejected and most likely destroyed along with other non-suitable items. Subjects will usually dispose of the things by incineration, although no single method is preferred. From this point, only clothing washed in 325 will be worn. Currently, the stage of most use and interest to the Foundation. After 240 hours of exposure, subjects will cut themselves in order to use their blood as a cleaning agent. What? Other agents, such as bleach, will sometimes be added, but this is not a constant behavior, and around 80% of exposed subjects will not add anything. The blood from the victim has been proved to be 100% efficient at removing any contaminant from a surface. The mechanism for this is currently unknown, but tests with the products of SCP-blank and SCP-blank have shown promising results for cleanup after containment breaches. The composition of the blood has eluded a full analysis so far, with test results showing data expunged present in the bloodstream. Further testing is authorized after submitting Form 325-T1 to the appropriate Level 4 researcher. Most test subjects, around 70%, will die of exsanguination or exhaustion before progressing to Level 5. Once a subject has been exposed for 480 hours, they will proceed to data expunge. See report 325-E1. Is it actually going to be in here, or do we not get to see that? We don't get to see that. Which resulted in the deaths of blank civilians and blank Foundation staff. This event is detailed on the warning on 325's label. A copy is available to researchers above Level 3 clearance. As the blank company shows no record of producing 325, yet has the facility to do so if the redacted is added into their manufacture process, one undercover agent has been inserted as an employee. Agent Blank is to stay silent unless production of 325 is found to exist. All instances of 325 found outside of Foundation control are to be destroyed by incineration after testing at the nearest Foundation site. Field agents and MTFs are cleared to terminate any civilians exhibiting confirmed exposure of Level 3 or above. Confirmed Level 2 instances are to be contained and returned to the nearest Foundation site. I really want to know what happens at Level 5. But I guess we'll never know. Maybe they're just, violently trying to clean people. Anyway, a Chinese peasant. Okay. 326 is contained in Armed Biocontainment Area 14. Due to 326 severe... I am not even sure how to pronounce that. Let's find out. Fear of doctors. Didn't really tell me how to pronounce it, but now we know it's fear of doctors. I assume it's iatrophobia or latrophobia. It looks like it's the letter I though, so it's probably iatrophobia. Yeah. Personnel who will interact with, be seen by 326 are not to wear lab coats. Due to 326 post-traumatic stress disorder, her tendency to undergo panic attacks, and the increased danger she poses to personnel during these episodes, 326 is never to be beyond sight of a panic room into which she can flee. The path between 326 and the closest panic room is to remain unobstructed. Tranquilizers are to be added to 326 food on a daily basis to mediate her stress. In the event that 326 needs to be transported off-site, she is to be sedated until such a time as she can be provided with a new panic room. 326 is deaf and communicates via written Chinese. Translators are to be available at all times. All communications with 326 are to be archived. So, 326 is a human female approximately somewhere between 65 and 70 years old. This figure is 326's physiological age. Chronologically, she is over 120 years old. Who has been subjected to significant body modifications by an anomalous technology. When inactive, these modifications are detectable only by subject's anomalous mass, 230 kilograms despite a physique which will indicate a mass of at most 45, and by the presence of significant keloid scarring along her arms, legs, hands, feet, and spinal column. Is that the one for getting hit by lightning? What is that? A tough heaped up scar that rises quite abruptly above the rest of the skin. It has a smooth top and pink-purple color. I'm not going to go into images because it might look really bad. When subject becomes agitated, the scars rupture lengthwise and the components of a structure emerge. The structure resembles an exoskeleton made from human bone and bestows upon 326 enhanced strength and speed. The degree to which her speed and strength are enhanced is unknown, as she is reluctant to participate in quantitative testing. However, she has demonstrated the ability to, when in a panic, throw two 100-kilogram security guards over distances greater than 4 meters, and to travel over 20 meters to her panic room in 2.8 seconds. Due to logistical difficulties when sampling, not only is the exoskeleton extremely durable, its accessibility is limited to those times when she is panic-stricken. The physical composition of the exoskeleton is as yet unknown, as is its connectivity to the musculature and nervous system of 326. Radiographic imaging has been hindered by the subject's phobic reaction to X-ray machines. 326 is deaf, but is still able to speak in the Pinghua dialect of Chinese, as a result of having deliberately ruptured both of her own eardrums at some point prior to entering into Foundation custody. Her stated goal in doing this was to avoid hearing bad words. Okay. Further questioning on this topic resulted in 326 becoming agitated and distressed. History. 326 claims to have been an agricultural worker from the rural village of Redacted, in Redacted Province, People's Republic of China. Why is that a link? Why is the People's Republic of China SCP-2788? Why is the entirety of the People's Republic of China an SCP? At the time of the Mao Zedong's Great Leap Forward campaign, she describes having been approached by some young men from Redacted who induced her to participate in a procedure for the revolution. The procedure was very secret and involved bad doctors, bad magic, and much death. Eventually, however, the young men stopped coming and 326 was left in a room of ice. This is thought to indicate cryogenic suspension. In 2000-something, a containment breach by SCP Blank led to the collapse of Blank buildings in the Chinese city of Redacted. Foundation cleanup crews discovered 326 watering in the wreckage of the Blank building, identified her as anomalous, and took her into custody. A broken tool. So, not only is the entirety of China an SCP somehow, there's a tale linked to the retrieval of 326 from said SCP of entirety of China. Not sure if I should read this though. It's probably not important. It's probably not as important as why China in its entirety is an SCP. How long is this entry? Okay, maybe it's not the entirety of China. Okay. It looks like it's not the entirety of China. It looks like it's a specific person in China. Okay, we'll get back to that someday, probably in a few years, seeing as I've been doing this for like, I want to say 8 months? I don't know how many months it's been. I started before Halloween and blah blah blah, but it's gonna be some time before I get there naturally, unless I just start skipping around. That being said, if people want me to just start skipping around, let me know. I'll do some sort of random number generator and just see where I end up. Actually, that sounds like a pretty interesting way to do that. Just do it with a random number generator, and then, if it's something I've already read, skip it again. So, if anybody wants me to do that, let me know, but in the meantime, I'm going to keep going because we've actually almost reached God. We're not going to reach God in this episode, but I'll probably start the random number generator after we do God. And possibly also Schrodinger's can opener, because that sounds hilarious. No, let's see then. Next up is the Mermaid, which is Euclid. Okay, 327 is to be contained within a 40 by 40 by 10 meter saltwater tank within sight someplace. The tank is to be cleaned on a weekly basis or immediately after an algal bloom event. The walls of the tank are to be soundproofed. All staff interacting with 327 or entering the containment are to wear sound-canceling headphones when not in direct conversation with 327. Any staff who report suffering the effects of 327's properties are to be removed from the active duty until cleared by a staff therapist. That sounds more like it's a siren than a mermaid. 327 is to be fed 15 kilograms of lettuce and assorted leafy vegetables each day, accompanied by appropriate nutritional supplements. English language instruction for 327 has been approved to be carried out by Doctors Amberley and Watson. 2 hours per day has been allotted for this purpose. Description: 327 is a female specimen of a mammalian species resembling members of the order Sirenia, or specifically, that West Indian manatee. Just going to highlight that right there. Boom. What's the thing that people confirm? Half-Life 3? Yeah, alright, cool. Half-Life 3 confirmed. Measuring approximately 2.8 meters in length and 450 kilograms in weight, and estimated to be between 25 and 30 years of age. The subjects bear anomalous bodily features. The flippers bear distinct fingers and a functioning opposable thumb, and the skull and facial features resemble that of a human. 327 was hit by a boat propeller 5 to 10 years before retrieval, as evidenced by heavy scarring on the head and back and traces of severe head trauma. 327 is sapient and capable of speaking simple English sentences, though it experiences significant difficulty in doing so both in pronunciation and comprehension of concepts. 327's anomalous effect is based around its primary vocalization, taking the form of songs similar to that of cetaceans. Okay. These vocalizations are regarded as highly unpleasant to listen to and will result in severe headaches and audio-visual hallucinations in humans, persisting for 6 to 12 hours. Might as well check to see what these are. I'm inclined to say whales. Whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Okay, so I just take that to mean sometimes people will be walking around and then the mermaid will be like, ooh, and then they'll just have headaches and drop to the floor for 6 hours. Those affected will often report claustrophobia, an aversion to water and aquatic animals, and occasionally sensations similar to that of drowning. Other mammals will experience the same effects. During vocalizations, algae and plankton within approximately a kilometer of 327's location will reproduce at incredibly high rates. The resulting algal bloom will cause considerable oxygen depletion and neurotoxin levels in the area and cause massive die-offs of local fish and mollusk life. There are no anomalous properties present in the algae itself, and 327 is immune to all effects caused by its vocalizations. Interviews with 327 have revealed few concrete details of its origins due to the specimen's inability to adequately express the information. 327 has implied the existence of other specimens of the species to live in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea, however no anomalies resembling the descriptions have been reported. Addendum 1. 327 was recovered in August of 2008 after a series of inexplicable mental illnesses among citizens of blank Florida, which also could just be considered living in Florida, and reports of unexplained noises in the area. The area had been under Foundation watch for 2 weeks before it was reported that a mutant manatee had been washed ashore by Tropical Storm Faye. After investigation by Foundation agents, amnestics were distributed to the local populace and the specimen was recovered without incident. Addendum 2. Interview excerpt. For purposes of readability, 327's accent has been corrected in this transcript. Accent? Hello, 327. Hello, Dr. Ambry? 327, ready to answer questions again. Very well. We were talking about the song yesterday. Could you tell me more? Yes. Song for fish and animals. Song for plants. Song for people. Song for home. Song is good. Song not like this. Hums for 3 seconds. Song not like words. Song is song. Song make good things. Make things good. Song not good now. And what happened to the song? Low rumbling noise and imitation of motor. Made it bad. The boat then. Yes. It is okay though. Bad song not hurt animals here. You and Watson helped 327 get good song back. Oh, that's adorable. Okay, so I guess these thus aren't completely terrible. Now it's time for the alien disc. Well, it's just alien disc, there's no the. And it's safe, because it's a disc and probably not going anywhere. Maybe. 328 is to be kept in a secure locker in storage area 328A. Access for research purposes requires level 3 authorization and will... Sorry, I'm used to that word being spelled with a Z, and I don't know if this means we're reading if I'm reading something written by someone who's in a different country than me, or if that's just a typo. I don't know. Anyway, and will be permitted in most instances. Due to its unclear nature, 328 is not to be allowed into contact with any data reading device with a connection to the internet or the Foundation intranet. Sorry, I yawned and it made my eyes water so I couldn't see. Electronic devices which have been used to study 328 should be clearly labeled SCP-328 use only and stored in Storage Area 328A for common use in case of unidentified viral properties. A small isolated lab adjunct to the Storage Area 328A, designated as B, has been established to this end. So, what is it? It is a smooth greenish yellow disc approximately 10 centimeters in diameter and 4 millimeters thick, weighing just over 13 grams, composed of an unknown crystalline organic compound. The bonding pattern of 328 is highly organized in a manner reminiscent of a data storage or retrieval device. 328.1, see below, a data file retrieved from 328 seems to confirm this. Various analyses of samples of 328 have been inconclusive. Some known atomic elements have been identified, but none in recognized compositional patterns, and not enough to account for the mass of the samples used. It is slightly warmer, about 4 degrees Celsius, than its surrounding environment, even when subjected to extreme temperatures. Kinda like my laptop right now. It is susceptible to kinetic damage, but if broken, reforms itself from its largest remaining piece over a period of 1 week to 6 months, depending on the severity of the damage. Crystallographic analysis of fragments indicate they possess restructured crystalline form, a scaled-down version of the whole item structure. As the disk regrows, the structure re-expands and returns to its original form. No changes have been observed in binary data obtained from the disk reader, see below, before and after breakage/reformation. 328 has been in the possession of the Foundation since blank 1800 something, when it was recovered from a data expunged. Until blank 19 something, the purpose and nature of 328 was uncertain. In an accidental breakthrough, 328 was inserted into an experimental disk drive that had been treated with Redacted as a part of the Redacted project, see Addendum 1. 328, when used with this reader, produces binary data. Multiple cryptographic analysis of the binary code produced indicate that at least some of it is a description of data contained on 328. An algorithm for converting the binary into ASCII code has been developed, and the current extent of the translation is appended by 1. Veracity of this data is uncertain, but given the coherence of the data produced, it seems unlikely it is a random fluke. Curiously, the data obtained is written in over 30 known languages transliterated into Roman characters in what appears to be a single article. Further attempts to directly access and translate the data on 328 have proven labor-intensive, and full funding for the project has been pulled. Dr. Somebody has announced that anyone with relevant skills, cryptography, data storage, recovery, and linguistics in particular, is welcome to take up translation of 328 as a hobby item. Addendum. As Project Redacted, which produced the original 328 data reader, has been cancelled for over a decade, Dr. E. Something has lodged a formal request for O5 clearance to remove the redaction, allowing anyone working on 328 to consider this information. Permission is pending. So, this comprises the main body of the documents translated from 328. Much of the actual log consists of random ASCII characters, which may be untranslatable text, untranslated text, or may correspond to some other type of information. All data has been translated into English for ease of comprehension. The original untranslated log with complete additional text is stored at 1 or SCP-328-1OR disk in Storage Area 328A. Translated data begins. It is approximately 4 units in width, 6 units in length, and 0.4 units high when sitting on a flat surface. Its external surface is essentially featureless aside from unrecognized markings on several surfaces and several narrow slots along the 2 shorter edges. It tastes of sodium chloride, present in trace non-toxic quantities on its surface, and of carbon-based oils and polymers of unidentified composition. While graphic analysis of the residues present on the surface and of the material of which the device is comprised indicates it contains several elements unknown to our science. When inactive, it radiates very little energy. Its surrounding is flavorless aside from a hint of 3 indentations along the edge release electromagnetic radiation in a rhythmic pulse. Upon depression of a smooth Flavorless, i.e. possessing only the same base flavor as the object, surface on the same edge of the radiators, the top half of the device comes loose, revealing itself to be hinged along the opposite surface. Inside is what appears to be a control console with 104 nearly identical depressible surfaces, most of a uniform size. Researcher has described them as sequence of untranslated data for each of the inside its outer but underneath it is sequence of untranslated data. When a small oblong surface is pressed, the translucent surface above the primary interface almost immediately begins class radiation, which claimed of 4 researchers before adequate shielding could be devised. See handling protocols above. That's probably lives. Operation, unless it claimed their souls. Wait, is this just like an SCP entry log that came from inside the disk itself? Trial and error has revealed that depressing certain combinations of the surfaces on the control console will cause changes in the spectrum of radiation emitted by the device. Although the nature of these changes has yet to be determined, the patterns are consistent. Additionally, the device does not emit identical radiation from every surface. It appears to have over 1 million identical micro-emitters arranged in a grid-like pattern across its surface. Each one is capable of emitting variable radiation frequencies. When cataloged and mapped, the different frequencies of the radiation form patterns and symbols which at least partially correspond to the symbols mapped onto the control console. Long sequence of untranslated data. Power source was identified by researcher by activating 2 sliding panels previously unnoticed on the underside of the control console. A roughly cylindrical portion hidden beneath the hinge could be removed, while externally undifferentiated. You know what? I'm just going to stop, because this is probably unimportant completely. Although it seems certain that this is another memeto-energetic weapon developed by agency in light of this, the Research Council should consider releasing another no further translated information. So it sounds like this might have come from an alternate universe foundation or something. The Cancer Garden. I'm gonna say Euclid. Hey! The building in which 329 is located has been purchased by a Foundation front company and designated Site Blank. Access to the site is restricted to Level 3 personnel, facility personnel to undergo full body scans at least every 48 hours. Since it is unknown how many adherents the Church of the Gardener possessed, Site Blank should be considered at risk of recapture and appropriate measures taken. Okay. 329 is a room in a derelict building at blank. Room is in the building cellar, 6 by 5 meters, with a steel fire door. Room contains 6 folding beds. Beds are fitted with an IV stands and leather constraints. 5 beds are occupied. Occupants are of both standard sexes and several races with ages 16 to 64. Occupants have been designated 329 1 through 5 and been identified as blank, former medical student at blank university, blank, and blank, disposable dude who was subjected to event 329A. Which better be in here, otherwise why even say that? Occupants of beds all have cancer. Type of cancer varies from occupant to occupant, but all cases have at least 3 tumors of grade that or higher. Although cancers are advanced, they do not follow normal progression. 2 of the cases, with a prognosis of weeks at best under normal conditions, have remained alive since at least blank. Occupants are alert, but in great pain and unable to speak. Every 24 hours at approximately 4 AM, 329 undergoes event 329A. The door closes with great force and cannot be reopened for the duration of the event. Anything obstructing the doorway is pulled into the room. 329A lasts approximately 20 minutes, after which it is possible to open the door again. Equipment for remote observation and recording is rendered inert during 329A in a manner consistent with a non-standard space-time event. The only sounds heard from outside during 329A are screaming from the room's occupants. After the event, occupants are apparently unharmed, bearing no incisions or external trauma. Their tumors, however, have been altered, in some cases radically. They have been reshaped and their direction of growth has been altered. 3 of the occupants have tumors of more than 20 feet in length, twining around and through bones and organs. 329-5, who was cancer-free before he was exposed to event 329A, was found after the event to have developed lung cancer, which in the 3 weeks since has grown to T3. Only people inside the room were affected by 329A, and those who have been removed from the room, their cancer progresses normally, resulting in death. Discovery: 329 was discovered by a group of blank university medical students who noticed abnormal cancers in the bodies of indigents supplied for dissection. They traced the source to 329, which was being used as a squat. They came to the Foundation's attention through material they circulated on the internet under the name of the Church of the Gardener, document 329-1. When a mobile task force secured 329, the church had been operating for 11 months, luring indigents to the building with promises of drugs and shelter and subjecting them to Event 329A. 7 members of the church were present and offered armed resistance. 5 were eliminated by the MTF, and the other 2 held out long enough to subject themselves to Event 329A. 1 was subsequently vivisected by the research team, and the other designated 329-3. The church's records were retrieved. They began as relatively straightforward medical case notes, but degenerate over time into a religious screed. Partial transcript of video found it's on YouTube, but we will never know where it was. Your body is an Eden after the fall, ruled by the tyranny of the great devil in your skull. Your bodies are like your grey lifeless cities, every cell marching in lockstep, any deviation punished. Any growth, anything alive and green met with cut it out, burn it out, poison it. Endelos sung, and the budding cancer is destroyed or else it fights back. It brings down your body like Samson does the temple of Dagon. Now it comes to cure us. Each day it plants, it prunes, it trains. It makes the grey city a garden again, and it will take root. It will bear fruit, and it will spread across the world. Okie dokie. That's freaky. So, we're going to do the... the cancer garden. Okay. I think I'm going to save 330 itself for the next episode. So, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This is episode 81 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things. And again, if you want me to change the format of this Let's Read series to random number generator and see where we go, rather than what I've been doing, which is taking forever, just let me know in the comments. So, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!